Hello everyone, this is George from Ireland. This video is about how to get into Eton, my old school. So Eton is easily the world's most renowned school. It was founded in 1440 by King Henry VI, and it's educated more kings and prime ministers than any other school, not just kings of the United Kingdom, by the way. Note, Eton is only for boys. I could tell you more about very distinguished schools for girls or mixed schools, but Eton's only for boys. So boys usually go there for 5 years. They normally start at the age of 13 and leave at the age of 18. If you want your son to go to Eton, register him as soon as possible. Some people were registered within days of birth. However, boys usually have to be registered by the age of 8. So contact Eton about doing this, simple form to fill out, and pay your registration fee of £300. This by no means guarantees a place. You do not get that registration fee back under any circumstances. This registration fee defrays the cost of running the admissions office, and it also means people only register if they're semi-serious, because schools got dozens of people registering who had little intention of going to the school. So if your son is over the age of 8 already, it might be possible for him to go to Eton still. Contact them, but it's very difficult. He has to be truly outstanding for them to be considered, because they're hugely oversubscribed. So that's why they close registration so early. At the age of 11, boys are invited to Eton for a tour of the school and an interview, tests. So I've talked about school interviews in other videos. The tests are in English, maths, verbal reasoning, and non-verbal reasoning. Eton would also take up references from a boys' school. So at this point, Eton rejects about 80% of the candidates and keeps the other 20% on the list. Those 20% it keeps on the list have a good chance of getting into Eton, not guaranteed still. So if you don't have a realistic chance, you're told sorry quite early, so you can concentrate on going somewhere else. So Eton will keep in touch with the boys' prep school for the next 2 years. Prep school is preparatory school, in case you don't know. Almost all boys who go to Eton are already at an independent school. A few of them are at a state school at that stage. So about the age of 13, boys are invited to Eton for another battery of exams. This will be in April or May of the year they intend to start Eton, and they're going to start Eton September of that same year. The very bright ones will sit the King's Scholarship exam, so not me. And the King's Scholarship exam is in English, Maths, Science, French, Latin if they studied it. There's also a general paper in History, Geography and Religious Studies. Those who are sitting the King's Scholarship exam will stay at Eton for about 3 days. So there are only 14 places per year for the King's Scholarship, and typically 80 boys would sit the King's Scholarship exam. So some of them win that scholarship, that's fantastic. They get at least 50% off the fees. They might even get 100% off the fees, depending on their family financial situation. Those boys who are not awarded the King's Scholarship are all allowed to go to Eton, because they only enter for the King's Scholarship if they're going to be very brainy. And the school have said they're very, very bright, they should have a shot at this. So the majority of boys applying to Eton sit common entrance. So common entrance is for fairly clever boys, they're just not as super bright as those who sat the King's Scholarship. So common entrance is a series of exams over 3 days in English, Maths, all the mainstream subjects, Latin if you've studied it, which they usually have, and that's that. So those with superb at music can also try for a music scholarship. These people doing at least 2 instruments to a very high level, could be singing as well. And if somebody wins a music scholarship, there's also reduction fees. It is possible to hold a music scholarship and a King's Scholarship. Some people hold a King's Scholarship but not a music scholarship, and some people hold a music scholarship but not a King's Scholarship. I didn't get either. Anyway, so after common entrance, most of those boys who've sat common entrance take it. There are about 250 places a year at Eton, and how many would sit King's Scholarship plus common entrance together? Close to that number, about 260. At this stage, Eton has narrowed it down. They're pretty sure they want to take the people they've invited to sit common entrance or the King's Scholarship. Eton is not into messing people around, is not into giving you false hope. Eton is usually people's top choice. So almost everybody who sits common entrance passes it, because Eton's only invited you to do it if you got a good chance. And so once you passed common entrance, you'd be offered a place. Just like if you pass the King's Scholarship, you're offered a place. Even if you win the King's Scholarship, they almost always offered a place, because they're very, very clever boys who sit the King's Scholarship. So parents say, yes, we accept the place, then they pay 1 term's fees up front. And so the school says, right, your place is guaranteed now. This is in case the parents change their mind. Just occasionally, people at the last minute said, don't want to go. And that'd be very annoying from Eton, because they pledged their place to somebody who's not going to go, and they've had to turn down somebody else who'd like to come, and obviously Eton would be out of pocket if it wasn't getting at term's fees. So that's a new start at Eton, usually the first Wednesday in September. Novices, that's new boys going to their respective houses. So there are lots of different houses at Eton. There's College, which is the house of the King's Scholars, and the other boys go to other houses. And then, I haven't got into this, but as part of the process of trying to get into Eton, you'd be put towards this house, or rather you might have a preference. You might know nothing about it and not have a preference, but the school will sort you out into a house. So if a boy does not start Eton at the age of 13, it is possible to start at the age of 16 and just do the last 2 years of your schooling there. However, there are very, very few places at the age of 16, only about 10 a year. There are sixth form scholarships. So if you're an exceptional pupil at the age of 16, you could go to Eton, do your interview, it'll be advertised in the newspapers, contact Eton, and that will again be March, possibly April time, and planning to begin September of that year, and interview and exams in the subjects you wish to sit for A-level. So that is that, and then they give awarded these scholarships, and the school will reduce the fees as much as you need according to the finances of your family. If you do not win a sixth form scholarship, it is possible to begin Eton at the age of 16 and pay full fees. However, that is very rare indeed. It's very hard to be accepted. Why are there these places at 16? Well, of course, it's a little bit of, how would I put it, natural wastage. People who just get fed up of Eton and choose to leave, or indeed get expelled in their first 3 years. So those 250 boys who started off at the age of 13, perhaps only 240 of them want to continue for the last 2 years of school. So that's that. Post any comments below, ask me any questions. Incidentally, I do not work for Eton. There's no false advertising. I'm not representing them. I'm not saying this on their behalf. This is just information as a matter of public service.